Nice.
Off it goes. Cool. Well, I guess we can just get into it, unless we have stuff to catch up on. We're, yeah. Okay, I'll share then. All right. Let's see. I need a monster monitor. I'm gonna start carrying around. I'm gonna buy. I think Samsung just put out like a 49-inch curved monitor. We can like strap that to the top of the Subaru, set it up wherever we go. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Overkill. I don't even know if Figma would work
Just
like
need
that.
like
Just super wide.
crazy projector, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. There we go. Gonna find a place. We're gonna be like staying in a hostel soon. We'll just take over to like main room. Like, sorry, I have to project Figma onto a wall. All right. Okay, so help me find where we are. I was like looking at your notes, John. We kind of talked about hitting the browser metaphor thing. We talked about finding a page for the posts.
Reconnecting over Ethernet. Give me 1 second.
Okay, sure. Now we got a check mark, guys. Don't know that we need a sync tray.
A sink tray.
Mm-hmm.
Like a tray that under your sink.
Yep.
That's the level of joke I'm running on right now.
It's fine. That's all you got. All right. Anybody? How you doing, Shahruz?
Good.
Yeah.
Was it?
Just filling time. No dead air, you know?
Yeah.
Just doing a quick interview. Yeah, Kristen and I are like going through the like DAO to DAO stuff. And yeah, it's interesting. We should probably have a chit chat about all that at some point
definitely.
in here. Yeah, Kristen's lit up now because she's got policy wonks to piggyback on.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay.
Back, John.
Yep. Hopefully more stable. Good.
Cool.
So,
All right.
if I
so I was saying,
recall,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, basically we were kind of starting to get into what does the post look like, and what does the default like browser home view look like to get those blocks into the post.
Mhm.
I mean, we kind of already have that composer view. I don't think it would look all that much
Yeah.
different from that. I think maybe also we can start poking at the publish button and what happens after it's clicked. I guess maybe, but some of that may be like more process. Not like, I think there may be questions
Yeah.
that aren't simply like, well, how does it look on a Figma file, which we can definitely go in, but I'm
Yeah.
unclear how far into that we'll get.
Yeah, I mean, UI wise, I don't know how much more we have to like. I mean, we can obviously paint some stuff in here if it helps as a like visual spec or something. Yeah, this composer thing, whatever, the post page. I still think that we're moving these blocks over into a centralized post, or a single post, and then we just reorganize the first step, and then yeah, publish.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we can go through that process. Let's go through the. No, why did I just retype? Same thing. That's where we're at today. It's very hot here, but not so hot in the room anymore. But we're up to 100 and something degrees again.
Oh, wow.
We avoided that for a while. Yeah. All right, so query through the graph. Yeah, let's nail it down. So basically, I mean, we talked about just having, yeah, I don't really understand how all this is going to work necessarily, specifically. Like I mean, we can, so we were talking about the home section and how we're going to determine that with queries. And so in that case, you basically just have, well, the operating principle we've got right now is that this page, like when you land on it and you're logged in, you have your wallet connected, it's going to show all your content. Yeah. That qualifies as home.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
an argument could be made for home as squad view, but there's something about redirecting it towards like a quieter place that I like.
Yeah.
That's just a little more like, okay, I'm not like even trying to post things for other people. I'm literally just like, okay, like I'm starting from home, just myself.
Yeah. I think we should try that and see what it feels like to start. Assuming these things aren't too difficult to move around navigationally.
Yep.
Because if we've got the query, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so then the post view and then squad view is just, you know, I mean, you could just or whatever members, and that could just, who's gonna do that real quick and then have that.
The at squad,
Yeah.
some sort of reserved names.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me all this. I mean, this would probably just be a list of people for now. So there you go. We got a squad.
Mm-hmm.
And these, and this one done before the members. And boring. Let me just do it again. Yeah, for now, I don't know. I mean, we can figure out what we need to put on all this. I think we just bind this one up and then spit out a list and see what it looks like.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was like choppy for like the last 20 seconds, so this might be why.
We lost you. What were you connecting on? Really?
I'm back.
I do like this. I do like this redundancy though. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She can tell where I went. All right. Okay, so we can work out details on the squad view, or we can just leave it like this right now.
I think
Really?
when I pictured squad view, so I guess yeah, there's like members of squad, and then there's like posts of squad.
Oh yeah. So I was thinking.
Oh, good.
So yeah, there's members, and then yeah, so the sift, the squad sift.
Mm-hmm.
This would be just all the content by everybody, effectively.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Don't know that there's any difference in the view of that. Yeah, they're all, I think, fitting. Yeah. Dry.
Is Dave choppy for you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty.
Yeah,
It's getting
you're
steadily worse. I wonder if y'all can share audio and maybe still.
yeah, I mean I could drop I'm on a different actually connection though. So
I wonder if does Dave need to have his video going at the same time as his screen? Because it might be the fact that it's doubling up there.
yeah.
Yep. And we could also just load up Figma, which would drop the bandwidth even
True.
further.
Let's try it like this. Kill the video.
Go.
Move my phone to closer to the cell tower by 3 feet. So maybe
That's
that'll
what it
help.
takes. Yep.
We got a different window to put it on. All right. Well,
Yep.
let me know
Sounding
if
good.
it's okay. Yeah. So I'm trying to sort of square what to mock up here, if anything, because the queries like are just going to be, I mean, we can visualize them if that helps you guys. Like I can just lay out pages. I'm trying to figure out where to go here.
Yep.
Yeah, so like can you mute? The like main queries would be squad and then like individual squad member views. Are those like what else would we need to like frame out besides those two main, like I feel like those are the two main page views, and then it could get more nuanced from there. Like I don't, maybe there's something with the query search bar, like what that looks like, because we're going to be able to fine tune how we query. I don't know if we want to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of this question of are the queries pure text, like by colon X squad or X member, or are we having like a little bit of like a drop down element selector type of thing within the query, which kind of gets a little more complicated. I think one other thing, I mean, in addition to like exactly what the query looks like, is sorting and whether there's any more like elements for helping the sift process happen, besides just pure like time top down.
Yeah.
I mean, like some that come to mind there, like time descending and ascending, but also something about like some sort of almost random view, like to resurface older things somehow without too much algorithmic like work there.
This stuff.
Oh, wow.
It's nice.
Okay, done. Yeah, this is our first attempt, like way back when we had this guy. It's a bunch of blocks that go on a page and stuff like this. And then
good stuff here.
You had streams, and then yeah.
I just had a thought. I guess this is how it was always formatted, but can you mute it? The profile and like different page views can be basically, I don't know if it's divs, but some sort of section where you're doing different query functions into that. So you can, if you have like the metadata context, like sniffing out different things where like this is for profile or this is like a certain type of block, that's where you can like filter or query view like within pages. I don't know if that makes any sense.
So you're saying each page, or I guess each instantiation of a query kind of knows what query it's already inside of, kind of?
So you could have multiple queries, I guess, multiple queries on a page to show, different types of blocks effectively. So if you had like some sort of metadata tagging system, it's like if the idea, like just seeing that triggered a memory, because Dave was writing advice to himself. So like his tag was like advice, and then another tag could be about me or something. So just as it comes to you, you input it into the system as a block, and then you're able to sort of query like the advice to me for one section on a page, query just the about me. Yeah. And then there's
So
a
it's
way of getting to work with
almost,
that content. Yeah.
yeah, it's almost as if you can take like any selection of blocks on the page, draw another rectangle over them, and say, I want to also filter it again by this
Yes.
set of criteria.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So it makes like tags this not as like hard of a structure, but more of like, yeah, simple metadata on each block that you can then like sift further and further down. I think that that may be something really cool to at least mock up. Like I understand that the final implementation of tags and relative blocks to blocks and metadata, all of this, like there's many open questions there, but um, getting the visual styling or just like a rough approximation of it may be helpful to even just like discuss the technical implementations of this stuff.
Yep. I just like to point out that it says but, where it should say button on the screen, which is very frustrating to me. At first I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So yeah, Dave, I don't know, were we thinking that way before? Like it was like query views?
Yeah, I'm probably going to need to hear you talk that out again because I'm like half visual. I'm half dumb right now, so we're gonna.
It's okay.
I think so. Yeah. We're working with one hand tied behind her back here, but that'll make it when we come to consensus, it'll be better. So, all right. Talk me through the like how you see the queries in relationship to the blocks again, and then this secondary query or whatever it is, and then we can start figuring out if there's like a easy way to do that or visually.
So like usually a query, like a search bar at the query bar at the top of a page is going to give you however you filter the information that's out there, whether it's in a database somewhere, whatever. What it's giving back is whatever the results are of the query. So all I'm saying is, what if you have a page that's formatted in such a way where you can have multiple queries per page as a way of showing information? So you can design like your profile this way, where you've got over time you're tagging blocks. Some of the blocks are tagged like this is the context or the metadata that we're not sure what we're doing with yet. That's sort of a catch-all, but you tag it like the advice, like you are doing advice to yourself. You tag it about me. You tag it like favorite colors or whatever it is, and then you can create effectively like buckets on your profile that then show, here's like the query view for all boxes tagged as favorite color, all blocks tagged as about me. Is that making sense, Dave?
Yep, makes sense. All right. So yes, that's what we were talking about here. So let's go. This one is forever ago. Not this one. This one. Yeah. So building pages in from blocks that you have added to. Yeah. So yeah, this one is advice tag. Your bio, some ideas that come in. I forget what these were, but yeah, general idea being like, all right, I'm going to build this kind of thing. These are going to be a block, like collection of blocks, right?
Yeah, so the main query here is blocks by user, but then the subquery is basically blocks tagged with X.
Yeah, it's a way to curate a profile from sort of metadata. And then if you have like consistent posts, and then the next step was like you could add styling to these kinds of blocks. And then you can lay out a page effectively, and then it's live because you're inputting, from your surface over here. Okay. So yeah, I just forgot about that. It's been like 2.5 years. Okay, so
I made a little visual in the top left there what I'm
Okay.
seeing. Like
Yeah.
the blocks and then like a subquery for blocks.
Yep, makes sense. Okay, sort of makes sense.
My brain is half futzled as well. I was like
Good.
some food poisoning. So yeah,
Well,
don't.
You've got a real excuse. It's fine. We'll rub like
100-degree heat would murder me as well. That sounds rough.
We'll rub our neurons together and see what happens.
Mhm.
We're getting there. Okay, so all right, we have a couple things here. Like we're talking about like using queries as a layout mechanism. And then and the previous version of this is queries as a browsing mechanism. So those are sort of, I mean, they're combined somehow. We can see how that would work. All right, how would we, I mean, this is, I don't know if that's too many steps ahead here. This thing, so yeah, what do we want our filtering stuff to be? What are our initial tools? What is the easiest stuff to get in the page for that? Because that gives us like a bit of like filtering, sifting, searching tooling. So you mentioned order.
Yep, those are always. I mean, we got time on every block. You know, age I think is a very interesting one too, because that kind of gets at the thing I was going for with the show me like older posts that might have been missed, or show me things that I now have more context for that I maybe didn't originally make more sense to me now. And again, just a bit time based, so very easy. Length is interesting for sure. I'm curious if there could be some presets there that are almost like tweet length, like paragraph length, like thought length. Instead of like a character slider, it's more like just like rough, like almost just some sort of like shapes of these thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know what those would be.
Yeah.
And then we could shorthand those.
I mean, I'm picturing the first one to be even even smaller than 500. I think it'd be like I saw one of the blocks on your profile page was like 10 words. I mean, it's just literally like a micro, like little.
Yep.
Just this some way to, because I'm also sort of seeing a different modes of sifting here where I'm like, okay, I'm like ready to go in and read things. You know, I want to see all the long posts versus I'm scrolling on my phone, just like waiting for my sandwich, like show me maybe all the short ones.
Okay. So there's a few things that I'm going to point, like we're creating like sort of reader thing here, right? Like a consumption interface to be able to quickly move through the information in the system. Okay, so then we'll need affordances on desktop and mobile. I'm not going to worry too much about the mobile right now because I'm less good at it. But if we get the stuff bound up, we can start doing another pass on getting all that stuff working well. So yeah, I guess we can jump around between, let's just keep doing the query stuff. Okay, so length works.
One more.
Yeah, go ahead.
That I'm thinking, and this would require some backend work a little bit possibly, but read unread. So is this content new to me? And then tangential to that is, when is the last time I saw this content?
Okay, so.
And just the type of block.
Right.
Like image, text, if we're gonna have a handful of them.
My quick mute doesn't work when I'm in Figma. So,
oh, that's annoying.
Type. What was the other one that you mentioned? Read unread, and then
like, when is the last time I read it?
Okay, last viewed.
Yeah. Also, while we're here for native block content, we have like maybe number of edits, or has there been revisions, something like along those lines, and how many revisions?
Number of authors too, potentially.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
because I guess, yeah.
who is an author too? Like you could do individuals and groups.
Okay, so show me blocks that have been touched by like this cross section of people. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so, oh my God. So that would be author tooling.
Like author collection almost.
Yeah,
So yeah.
So what we're saying, number of authors and
Specific
groupings of authors. Yeah. So the specific authors, we're back to. And then, so combos. Yeah, this thing gets wild really quick. Okay. And then red. What is an interface that works like this, that has a lot of these?
Notion has some filtering stuff like this. I think they have ways of combining multiple queries on top of each other. Not in the way we're describing, more like all within the same query bar. But I think they do a bit of like styling of the individual components.
Okay. So, all right, how do we imagine these things being like input? So this is where I've used like Google Reader and built queries that way. Obviously Google. I haven't done too many, I can't think of many other systems where that can't be the case. Like where else have I done stuff like this?
Gmail is a little different from Google because it gives you that builder first, and then it converts the stuff from the builder into text.
I think Discord is pretty similar.
You got this guy, Slack, yeah. So they do this, and then you run it. Okay.
I think like a date within, and then a specific date will actually convert it to two separate queries.
Okay. Okay.
Slack, maybe? I mean, I'm never happy searching in Slack, but they do have some interesting affordances in the interface. Like, I kind of wish the affordances worked better.
Yeah, I don't even think I have Slack on here anymore. So we're going to have
to Discord setup is pretty similar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Where'd I like to go? So, all right. Othered. It's just in, okay.
Yeah, so that's nice.
Go away.
But maybe even less like space consuming Slack.
They do mentions. Okay. Yeah, I do like the just all from input kind of things, but all right. So from Kristen, and then you can build another one.
Oh, I like how they show you the results right away. Like you're going to see the change in that each time.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I like this. And then you get some sifter doodads here. Yeah, I like that. I mean, this is what I was going for here a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we need like a style of drop down for that. Okay, so move away this. It's going to be type those in. Let's pretend that's already in there. I'm just ripping off their bar. John Bow.
I'm sure they took it from somebody else too.
Almost certainly. Oh, I need to figure out the damn. Bring forward, bring to front is, what is that one? Option. Option command. Okay. Got it. We'll just use option command forward. Continue to use Jimothy.
Another filter query just popped into me in my head is like, have I replied to it? Maybe more useful for excluding things. Which gets into a weird cross section of like, am I an author of the revision history? Maybe like that's kind of like the boundary between those two gets fuzzy, but yeah, just like, have I seen it versus have I replied to it? Kind of different.
Okay, so all right, so this is
and just simple like keyword stuff, right?
Yeah.
Quotes. We got to support quotes. I think there was an app I used like the other day where, yeah, I don't remember what it was, but I put my search query in quotes and nothing happened. And it's just like, here you go. Here's all the words that contained one of these words. And I'm like, great, thank you. I'll just go cry.
I don't think we need hops.
What is hops? Like, what was the idea behind it?
It's basically the like mechanism for the thing was, yeah, kind of. Yeah, basically, well, what we were doing, yeah, like we were figuring like an algorithm would feed you back your own writing over time, and like the number of times that it had come back to you, and you, I guess, revised it. That was a hop. A little clever, too clever for its own good, probably.
That, I mean, that like flow is a very interesting one, though.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Anki, but writing and revision history at the same time. Yeah, there's something cool there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it just needed a stronger foundation before we got to the like clever bits. We were just basing the whole thing on the clever bits. Okay, so we'll have autocomplete something here. You can select it, that adds it to the thing. I can clean this stuff up. I mean, sitting here watching me do this would be tedious. But generally, you're typing in different stuff here. So what does that all look like? I don't know how fancy we want to make this thing too, or if we just want to split this out into, we can go through each one. The number of authors. All right, let's pick the low-hanging fruit here, and then see if we can get a little visualization for it. So type. I mean, what are the types that we have?
Text and image.
So do we imagine that's going to increase significantly, or do we just want to do like a, so I guess you just do for that. Doesn't matter, because all these are going to work like this. So the basic thing is you choose those, then you get a drop down.
Hmm. So this sort of going from like typable text to untypable text transition is tricky.
Yeah,
At least in my experience from like messing with Browse Mirror.
yeah,
One like until we have JavaScript chops that are up for this, we could design it in pure text so that like at some point it's easy to just take those text chunks and convert them into uneditable text, but so that it's
sure.
still very like readable, parsable, and understandable in plain text view.
Got it. So, well, kind of got it. So,
So in other words, like the blue styling you have there, like makes absolute sense in my mind. That's the way I'm visualizing it. But
yeah,
until we get there, like I think it's totally reasonable to design it in pure text view and just sort of saying, okay, like has colon will turn into that like
yeah.
uneditable chunk
So
like.
you're just, yeah, like no fancy schmancy nonsense. So, so type text, but still doing it within this style, or
Yeah,
do
exactly.
you imagine? Okay,
Hmm.
so
So
should,
maybe bold type, colon, just to like, or give it like some other styling, but let's not uh, get lost in like styling that would take significant
yeah. I mean,
work yet.
yeah, is like so these things, like what their nature is in the actual page, like given, yeah, like all the CSS stuff can get real tricky real quick depending
Hmm.
on like how well this stuff performs. So keeping it as simple as possible makes sense.
Yeah,
But so we can continue to add things into a search bar though, and then
exactly.
you hit enter and then it refilters and then we'll have, yeah, yeah, okay. I'm making a real mess here.
What did you call that, John? The design, like the design, pure design text, something plain text?
Uh, Probably plain
No?
text.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Okay, so each of these, if we're putting them in, I'm trying to think about these. So authors, so you just do author. Is that how we're thinking about these? And that would be,
So yeah, I mean, I guess the two high level options here is author one space author two, which then they just all get treated as a group, or we do like author one comma author two,
yeah,
and then the the like terrifying alternative third option here is to like somehow start thinking about Boolean operators and like grouping, but I just
no,
like
I
that is
think
a rabbit hole. Like for
single
order of
order,
operations. Yeah,
yeah, like no abstractions.
yeah,
I think long form and like verbose right now, I think gets
yeah.
us where we need to go.
Agreed.
Because if we can just build these things and see what they're like, the like clear places for collapsing it will show up. So
Hmm.
I'm also trying to, I've never, this is the only one of these I've ever made, I think. Maybe another, like a bunch of drop downs uh, from like some system in like 1998. So
I
I'm
mean,
like, yeah,
that may be a great place to start because I like using those searches.
yeah,
They're very simple and intuitive.
they work. So, I mean, that's what this thing is effectively. Like if we
Yeah,
need to actually mock it up in selects or something, then we
sure.
can. But um,
And are you
yeah,
envisioning a
this,
difference between the initial at Kristen and the author
no,
Kristen? Okay,
no,
cool,
I'm just, I
cool.
mean, so that's a shorthand for this
Yeah,
potentially. But yeah,
cool. Full verbose
we'll
mode.
do it long version first. All right, so we got type and then length. That can be effectively a select.
Hmm.
So we need how do they do their, what else you got in here? Before, as, during, after, in.
Doesn't look like it.
Do you give
Let's see
me
if Slack
anything?
has it.
So they require input after, during. So that just does that. Yeah, so basically we're gonna have different flyouts like this depending on what we got. Okey-doke. That'll probably just do that. And then, yeah, I gotta see this in the page. Fine. All right, so, and then let's do that. These things can get long. Yeah, so order on this, how the hell does that work? Because it's just by date. So is order separate?
That's a good question.
Yeah. So
It would be.
yeah, like because
I
that's how
think so.
the Discord version works. Like we've got sub sifs based on making an unholy mess here. It's fine.
Yeah, and I guess ordered is like something that you toggle rather than like change. Like it's just a couple states.
Yeah.
So it'd be annoying to have to go back into search and say sort by colon, something like that.
And every query needs some order specified to it.
So like a default, yeah.
All right, so what should those be? Like, are they buttons? Or are they? How does that work? Yeah, like what are if we have one of these combinatorial query things?
Yeah.
What do you
I think
pass? Yeah.
buttons with one of the buttons selected by default kind of sounds nice.
Okay.
And I will say there's been many times where I like look at sort like UX or UI elements, and I'm like, does this mean you're about to sort A to Z or Z to A or like oldest? Like, I almost like those linguistic sorts where it's just like oldest first, newest
Yeah.
first, whatever. That noun can change, but just keeping it like very simple.
Or do we have a small set of these, or are there a lot of them? So
So which of our the right column or sort of all the filter queries, which of those are sort, and I guess which of those are filter? Would it be useful to get them into two piles?
replied, not replied. Good question.
I mean, some of them might fit into both categories.
Yeah.
And I added a proposal at the very bottom there. Included in post just now.
Yeah, included in post. Yeah, that one's good. Yeah, there's a million of these. So that's not order though.
What if there's some shortcuts between, not shortcuts, but like way of shorthanding it? If you're included in the result, like there's like a little indicator like on the result, so you don't have to like build that into the actual query. Like there's probably some things in here that we can build into a visual language that you're going to want to know every time, and then you don't have to like think about how to order it or what to query. It just shows up and you know like what the information's telling you, like a green light indicator to indicate you're online, but something like you edited the post potentially, or you authored the post.
And are you imagining this in the query results or the query itself?
Query results. So it's like one less thing for the user to think about. Like, I don't think we would have a lot of these because you wouldn't want to overwhelm someone with like, here's a legend for, I mean, or you could do that. I don't, yeah. There's maybe like one or two low hanging fruits here. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll definitely have the like on here, is it in the post or not, is the checkbox right now.
Right. So what I guess
Uh,
Kristen is envisioning is like another indicator that's like, did I interact with this block at like a meaningful level? And it's just like a
yeah.
different styling for that type of block.
Okay, so I'm looking through the thing and yeah, what is that meaningful level? How is that represented? Like I'm scanning it, like so in the case of an inbox, you have like viewed, unviewed, read, read, unread, like replied to, these kinds of things.
Hmm.
So there's like a working with the blocks language. I think we'll go through the functionality on that. Let's stick to the filtering stuff for right now, and then we'll come back to that. It'll probably have some effect here. Uh, I think we should scope this down to something chewable here because we've got a lot. Um,
Agreed.
what do we want to see first? Because we can do all these things.
Yeah, so I guess some of these maybe one way to like trim this list is some of these are for like lots of content, and then some of these are more for like
Yeah,
specific content. Um, like I want to find something specific in a
yeah.
large pile versus there's just a lot and I need to go through it. And we're gonna have
Hmm.
I think much more of the second one. I don't think we're gonna have like a sea of content anytime soon. And so
No.
that feels like yeah, less priority. Um, I guess really in a smaller context, like in a squad, uh, the things that come to mind is like I want to remove anxiety about have I seen things or have I not. That feels kind of up there because
Hmm.
like there isn't a lot
Okay.
of content, but just to remove the need to be like always kind of on top of it, like it would be nice to have that confidence of saying, okay, have I seen this, have I not, and sort of letting go of that. Um,
Yeah.
type, I
So
mean, it's just a very low hanging fruit as well. I think
yeah,
leave that in.
that one's
Author
fine.
as well. Yep.
Yeah, everything that we've got expressed here. So um,
I think keyword,
Yeah.
that's such a common, like, because your brain's like, oh, I saw something like this.
Hmm. Absolutely.
um, okay, and then length we
Kind
can
of,
get to eight.
yeah, feeling
Hmm.
on the fence about included, yes, no. Like, kind of depends on how much content we have, but it could be nice to say included, yes, included, no, just to be able to. But again,
Yeah,
included,
I think
yes, is more or less post, and there's not going to be more than a couple dozen. I mean,
that's
I
what
don't
I
think
was
so,
gonna
but
say. So
yeah,
for I think for this round, we only have one post.
yeah.
So
So it's
that query is
effectively
built into the
post.
post view.
Yeah, and post view is small enough to be completely digestible in one glance. Like it's not going to be
Yeah,
infinite scrolling or pages and pages. Yeah, that's true.
because when we have multiple posts, there's a different mechanism there. Um,
Hmm.
like, and going
Included
to the
in
post will
a
show
post.
everything there.
Yeah.
Like, but I think this is where we have something on here that's like, I don't know, posts
Hmm.
included in or whatever. Like,
Hmm.
and then you can scan by that. Yeah, there's,
That's cool.
yeah, we're just, yeah, we're a couple abstractions past. So,
Yeah.
anytime I have trouble holding all of this stuff mentally, this is where I'm trying to go back to make it, because we'll hit that stuff naturally.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just, okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That'll work. So text, that filters that down. Author, multiple authors, that gives then like special ones for just squad, which is that. So author, how does that work? All? Does that give us our
squad? Maybe author squad, but then that's kind of implying things that were published by the
yeah,
squad, not the
so
people in the squad.
yeah, but that's no, we don't. As long as
We don't need it now because
the default is
we're
just squad.
yeah, we're just one squad. And like I started thinking about that. Like you could filter by which squad wrote it. What's the use case there of like how many people are going to be using one instance of this at this, like how many squads at the same time versus there's like another layer of this technology that's cross squad. Yeah, I would leave the squad thing out for now. That's my 2 cents.
Yep.
as many things as we can cut off the list. Good. Laying out 4 things is easier than 5.
True.
All right. Yeah, there's some cases with this. Go ahead. Sorry.
So we throw in like a fun, I'm feeling lucky, give me something random, just like random order chaos generator.
I mean, that's, yeah, I guess that's just
Amuse me.
chaos mode. Yeah, random. Sure.
Random. Yep.
That's easy enough. We can figure out something to do with that. That's fun. Okay, so unless anything jumps out past this, like unread goes somewhere, there's some top levels. Yeah, I'm starting to see something. All right, so then these show up again. These are orders. So that just gives you oldest first, newest first, and then does alphabetical make any sense? No. Like what's alphabetical? Yeah.
I mean, maybe by like alphabetical relative to user. So like show me, like chunk them in by user, kind of by author, but it feels like something that could be done later.
Yeah, so that's grouping maybe. Next steps, I think. Yeah, let's push that one back. We got grouping, order. So many fonts. This is the sloppiest thing I've ever made in my life. Grouping.
Still looks neater than what I do, so rest easy.
I will. Okay. Keyword length, oh, that's fine. Don't need that. Include post is built in. Author sifting. Have I replied? Come back to that. Age. That looks like something.
Yeah.
So zips it. What are we missing here? Created. I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's a set of stuff to query on. That gives us a lot to play with.
No, yeah, that feels like, I mean, not even most chat apps don't even have a sufficiently like functioning version of this right here. So this is good.
I think
this is a lot.
That's a good low-hanging fruit. If we can make this thing usable in a way that none of the others aren't. Yeah, I'm curious to see what this feels like in practice. So, all right, we've got your home. Yeah, the unread thing. Read, unread. Just show me unread. That's a query. Yeah, we'll just get those quick because that's a special query. If I have met home and then by default, is it like an email thing? No. What the hell is that like?
Yeah.
And then how does it?
Oh, okay. Unread could be relative to latest version.
So how do you read it? What indicates a read?
I think every mechanic I've used for this has like bit me in the butt somehow.
Yeah.
Um,
We're back to reader view. This is like Google Reader keeps popping up here because then you can just like sort of, but you're consuming that way. Yeah, the metaphors here are tricky because
it's a feed, but it has state, and that state is
yeah.
affected by the search, which oof.
Okay, so let's 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 role play how we're using this thing a little. So I am popping in here to do what? Like, give me some, can you think of a use case that like,
Yeah.
how the reading or not reading, like, so checking to
I
see
mean,
if something, like, so in discourse, you have channels and then somebody has posted something to a channel and, you can see that it's unread clearly because it's in a feed. Um, we don't quite have that metaphor. And sorry, you were going to say something.
yeah. Oh, just that is one of the like entry points I see is like let me see what has happened since the last time I was there. Another one is I want to add something to it. I don't care about the current state of it. I just want to get something from my
Yeah,
brain into it.
yeah,
Another I guess might be like I have been notified that something happened, something that like I want to have specific attention to. So let me go interact with that specific thing. But that kind of is in the realm of like notifications, and we're not really there either. So it's really these two.
yeah.
But yeah, the thing
So
about
the
Discord go ahead.
like an example would be that we're doing we're writing this post together. So it is more like since the last time that I was logged in, like what's new? Like that's what comes to mind. So we're writing this post together. I go back into the system and I'm like, what's new? Like
Yep.
what's happened since I was last here? Or maybe I went in to add something. So I was there, but I didn't read anything. And then I come back later to do it because I'm separating my writing with consumption, let's say. So that's where the last time you were like what's new since you were last here could break down because you were there, but you were doing something else and you didn't see it. But yeah,
So in other words, are you kind of seeing a difference between continuing a session and starting a new session, sort of? Like the continuing my old session might just mean don't mm, I just want to pick up right where I left off and just continue to like poke at
oh,
content
interesting. Yeah,
versus okay, like I'm ready to like catch up to date. But
I
those
see what
can
you're saying. Yeah,
fork into each
that
other very easily.
in what you're on a consumption wavelength there. Like I want to pick up from where I was last consuming versus because
Mm-hmm.
there's more to do here than just consume. So yeah, that makes sense.
So it's kind of like a
Yeah.
bookmark metaphor, but a bookmark not only in location but in time as well.
Yep. How do you read them though?
I think there might be a reference point. It's actually a lot more complex, but the Reddit comments do this
Mm.
thing where they show you like, here's highlighted new comments since the last time you were reading
Yeah.
this thread.
And they are very specific about the time we were there. They're like, since
Yeah.
like 3 days, 4 hours, and 5 seconds ago. And I'm like, whoa.
Okay, so session based. Sessions. Okay, so the concept of sessions, that's gives us something to work with there. So in the Reddit thing, it's so you have gone to some thread, right? You've like looked through everything. Like the thread is algorithm or the comments are algorithmically mediated at this point, right? Like based on upvotes or something. They move the
Yeah, and you still have a separate way to control that. Like
okay.
that's just by score, best, oldest, whatever.
Okay. Yeah, maybe this is one of the interviews. Yeah, I haven't played too much with Reddit. And then So the use case here is where you're checking a thread over time, like over multiple days or something like this, because it's building it. It's a conversation, right?
Yep.
And then you come back and at the top of the comments list, is that how it works?
I think there's like a checkbox. It's like highlight new comments since your last visit. And then what it's doing is applying like a really subtle, like yellow highlight kind of background to those new comments. But they're peppered in throughout the entire thread because some of them might be like nested comments from, pre-existing threads as opposed to new ones.
So you'll come down here and then
some of these will just be like yellow.
Some of these will be yellow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be the simplest way to do this probably, because like, yeah, that requires.
I think, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think at that point, all that's being captured is the last time that you started a session.
Yeah.
And then the next time you come in, it'll highlight anything that's new, kind of like that. But then there, in the Reddit form, there's also like a checkbox up at the top if you want to disable the highlight.
Okay.
The thing I like about this is this verb, this like highlighting can exist both in the query and on the post itself. So you just go into the post and you just see, oh, this is what's been added since the last time I was here. But if you also run across those same blocks in a different context, like in a query, it's the same piece of information.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, yeah, this thing is like just show all unread in some form without showing anything else.
Mm-hmm. So
Which
unread
is
only.
Yeah, we should dummy this in to see, or if it's doable, to see what it feels like. Yeah, this one is hard for me to imagine in practice how it's going to work. Like, I know immediately, like, all right, so I want to, here's the path. Like, I want to go to, let's do this. Write them as queries. Show me everything. And then that's just whatever. And then you've got highlighted messages in there. Show me unread.
Yep.
I mean, for now, that's going to be fine. And then show me unread by Kristen. Or, yeah, so that gives you just everything that's new in the system. And then right now we don't have any hierarchy. So,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that'll work. The highlighting works, I think. So, and then the highlighting is, sorry, go ahead.
Concerns I have about highlighting is like multiple sessions and cross-platform and where that metadata is stored, but I think those are reasonably solvable. Like, I don't think any of them are blockers.
Yeah,
like
I think we're trying to prototype the feeling of the unread. So this gives us that like, all right, so this is what it feels like to have things unread. Obviously, like we're using it across, it's gonna like, I think we'll probably come up with another metaphor for this. So the thing that I'm thinking right now is like we've got this reader view, consumer view, and producer view, and how those modes change. Like, is there a workspace metaphor versus a consumption metaphor? Like, can we combine those into one interface, or are we like pushing this thing too far?
Is there a difference between reader and consumer?
No, I guess not. Like, because you can. So there is the case. Well, so there is the case where you're using this sifting filtering mechanism to find stuff to put into a post, and then
okay,
right. So there you're working with it as like, so this is the like versus, you know, coming into this thing and you're just reading a bunch of information, right? And you need to sift out all of that information or filter that information.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I don't.
okay, so
Yeah.
I totally see what you're saying here. I guess one a decision here in some way separating those two modes of operation like implies that those are two separate activities, whereas kind of always gently pushing people to be sifting and like keeping in
Hmm.
mind that this might be a block that fits into the post. So I
Yeah.
guess like how far apart should those two modes be? Because I totally can see different interfaces for that, and that makes sense. But in the sort of behavioral herding, it like doesn't make sense to make it more of a binary for now.
Yeah, I'm more just sort of separating out modes of
Hmm.
interactivity. I think that we should try to keep it in one place if possible. So like, all right, so the highlighting thing, the reason this was coming up is like, you know, so like in mail, you have like, you know, a mail interface, you know, sort of email interface. You've got a list of, you know, inbound, your inbox, and then other boxes of messages or whatever. Those messages are inert until like a reply event happens, and then they go into an edited state, and then, you know, they're simply sent out, and then, you know, they're appended back in the sort of inert state. Um,
Hmm.
Here, like, I don't know if there's we're not quite doing that the same way. Like, and then in the chat methodology, it's similar, just more real time, I guess. Um, yeah, I'm trying to figure out where our thing here sits in that spectrum, and I may be too dumb to do this right now. So, yeah. Okay. Basically, I'm like mapping in my head right now. Like, so there's a pattern of working with messages in email apps, right? And then there's a pattern of working with messages in chat apps. Um, and there's a pattern of working with like blog posts in a feed reader. Um, and we have a little bit of all of those things.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to find is like, because our usage patterns are like a lot of those things. So I'm trying to find like, I mean, this is just one instantiation of many interfaces you can build with this model. I'm just trying to find one that works best for us to prototype some of this like functionality. Um, and we may not find it here, but that's the sort of problem space that I'm working in. Like,
Yeah,
cause yeah, this thing
I think
is,
it's
yeah,
nice
go
you
ahead.
mentioned it's three. It's not just versus like email versus chat. There's also that like I'm just
No,
browsing the interwebs and like I come
yeah,
across something
yeah,
that I know the person and I'm just like, oh, okay, like it's just like that very serendipitous discovery that but it
yeah.
absolutely shapes how you sort and like catch up and respond to content.
Yeah, because there's a social layer to this too, probably that's going to come in. Like you're moving through
Yeah.
this stuff and you're like, oh, Kristen posted this thing, and then you're going to go reply to, you know, or edit it, or yeah. So, uh, again, jumping out ahead here, but that's that's what's overwhelming my brain currently.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe a silly question, but does the plus text image dropdown disappear in this view when there's like specific stuff in the query?
Mm.
Because there
Yeah,
really isn't
so
any
that's
ambiguity
back
about
to,
where it's going, right? When you're creating a block to a squad, it's not like your search query is really changing where that block goes. So I don't see a reason for it to disappear.
it, it can. I mean, so in the case that like you're in a post, I
Oh yeah.
guess.
Oh yeah, definitely post to is separate. Yeah.
Okay. And
But
then if you filter down to, say, like a tag or something,
yeah.
you could sniff that, you know, these kinds of things. But
Yeah, so it's more that like your query may affect what goes into the block that you're producing
yeah,
rather than where it's
like,
sent. It's always just sent to like everybody in some
Yeah,
software.
there's always it's sent to all, in the same way. It's put on the blockchain.
Yeah.
And then the queries get it back to an interface is the way I think about this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just a universal, but then hopefully eventually contextual add button. That's kind of where I'm, but yeah, is it annoying? Yeah, so I'm starting to think that we're like moving to a left-hand column view because we're going to be adding a lot of stuff is probably smarter than trying to keep it all clever and floating all over the place, which is moving it more towards, I don't know, Rome and Obsidian and Reader and everything in the world. But yeah, so that's an aside. Okay. Yeah, I don't know on this. Like, if we go through this, I think we can see if it makes any sense to keep it on the page. I think if it's in a left-hand column and it's just persistent nav. The path, though, like what happens when we click this and we create a new block and you have an existing filter or query open, like we ran into this with Ponder. We ended up having to because you have open stuff and then we had to throw a little blip at the bottom that's like your thing is here. And then if you wanted to navigate to it, you click and go back. I never really loved that, but it works kind of.
Can you describe that blip? Like, is it sort of like a bookmark position?
No, I think all we had, it was like it's a notification that the thing got published effectively.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that I have it mocked up anywhere. Yeah, it was just something like, I don't want to bring it to the front. Your post was posted. See it here.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you could retain this view. It was like so this is where, let's run into that one and then try to solve it together as a brain. Because yeah, I think I don't have any other better ideas on that one yet. Like, other than making the interface more complex and having tabs and, this kind of thing, multiple windows and overlaps and stuff, and we'll get there. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I do see the thing you were trying to get at now. Yeah. That's it's tricky.
Okay. So this is all good, I think. The highlighting, let's go through the logic on that again. So we have the concept of a session. Yeah. Like, how does this session get defined?
I think it's almost like activity from this address, basically.
Okay. And then we can timestamp that somehow, which gives us the ability to just highlight stuff since that timestamp. Like, in Reddit, do you interact with it in any way, or just like after that specific session, however that's defined, it's no longer highlighted?
I think when you access the post, it stores that time somewhere, so that the next time you come, it's filtering against that time.
Got it.
In this, since we don't like the comment thread is kind of the whole thing here. It's not like broken out into posts. Yeah, I think it would maybe just be like last time maybe it's like a scroll event or something with some threshold just to kind of, make sure it's not just like, opening up the tab or something.
Yeah.
But
so what's our feeling on like managing these things? Like, I guess we can just try this one. Because I'm a completionist, I want to see everything. If there's stuff that's unread, I'm going to go look at all of it. So I guess this is why you disable these things. Yeah. I'm just imagining how I'm going to be using this thing, I guess. So, which maybe just we need to build it. So,
Well, to some extent, wouldn't you just do unread only oldest first? And you have like this chronological
yeah,
feed,
there
and
it is.
as you scroll up, the blocks just become read from unread state, which kind of makes me think that it's less about your session and more about each block you see, like keeping some time that only you have access to. And
hmm
it's just like, it just changes its state, basically.
Okay.
But
And
the
then
exact
this,
implementation here is, yeah, subjective and
yeah, I
doesn't
think
matter.
we'll have to figure that one out. So, because the other model there is like the Google Reader thing where you go into a list, or Mail works this way too, and you just
Hmm.
arrow click down, there is some activity beyond a scroll because, yes, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
You can probably put this one down for now.
Probably.
And the rest of it is straightforward, relatively so. And then, yeah, maybe this is like a co-working session to figure out like how the hell to do this, what it feels like.
Hmm.
I'm just trying to save you from banging your head against the wall.
Yeah, I part of what I'm doing here is like trying to figure out the best way to move through stuff like this. And like clearly this one, like I don't know how to make decisions on these things because they're mostly programming decisions, right? Like how they're going to be implemented. Like because I more or less just need to give a style. It's highlighted, right? So that my job on this is pretty easy. Uh, but yeah, like coming up with the mechanism for doing the highlighting and all this other stuff. I think the first step is just to like if there is an easy way to produce the concept of a session based on a wallet or a person, then we can try that and then see what it feels like to have things highlighted since last session or something, right?
Hmm.
Like and then go from there. Okay,
Seems pretty, yeah, defined.
cool. All right, what else do we want to do here before
I just want to note that even though no one can see Dave, he's still waving his arms everywhere. I just noticed that. I was like, he's doing his normal like presentation mode. So I get
Awesome.
to, and I can barely see his face. So it's just like a body, body with arms.
Yeah.
We need like a small mirror behind you so we can get like
Yeah.
a little glimpse of Dave.
That's,
The whole scene over here.
that's
Got
great.
mirrors. We're using Morse code to communicate so we don't have to muck up the lines. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like muting me and I'm muting me. It's a whole scene. All right. What are we going into next?
I think the other big thing was pulling blocks into a post. But that, how much UI is there?
I mean, to my knowledge, we've got the checkbox, which is like a
Yeah.
way of doing that. It also handles removing them from the post.
The post view, did we already mock that up?
Pretty much.
I mean, this is this. Like, it's going to take these blocks, going to move them into here.
Just make them a little more condensed.
Yeah, like, and then we can, I think we should do that first. Because I have some ideas on the publish process and stuff, but I think that step by step, just get it so that we have the concept of a post and then like they're reorderable and we can feel what that's like. And then, yeah, like things like post title, is it just a block? And, like, is it special in some way that has the publish system? I don't know. So this is, there are some like sort of design decisions that we can make in the process of after we get this thing set up and we can feel what it's like to have a post and then what we want to do with that post. So I think, yeah, we're in implementation on that. And then, yeah, like the other like low hanging stuff is like a profile page for people. I don't know if we want to do anything with that. Like it's another query. like we have the basic version of that, which is, you know, you query by author and then you get all their posts, you know,
So that's interesting in the sense that it's almost more about a user-defined query result. Like I want to show you the results to my own query differently than the default. You could still look at them in the default mode, but if you want to see them in the way that I think is best, here's like the layout for that.
Okay, we're back to where we were before. Okay, we got there naturally. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, just that, yeah, like I'm starting to see some really like soft boundaries between queries and pages. Like, and I mean, I think it's a good thing. It's just that it's more about presenting the same data that's there in like context dependent ways.
Yeah, so let's just sort of, I really just wished I could sketch because this would be so much faster.
Try setting up a DSLR live stream next time. That's sounds doable.
It is doable.
A big sketch pad and a big light. That's all you need.
Okay, we're going to consider that. All right, so author Kristen, and then there's the assumption here that we're going to use author Jimothy because I've got Jimothy all set up.
Also, another fun fact is that icon is a guy named Tom Crichton. He's a designer who's based out of Toronto. And I sent one of our videos to a friend who also lives in Toronto. And he's like, I like how Tom's face is all over everything. And I'm like, what? And he's like, little known fact, we started at, what's the Shopify on the same day. And I was like, that is like way too of a small world. Like I didn't know that they knew each other.
That's cool.
Okay, so I don't know how this would come to be, why you'd need this. All right, so what would you need on a header? So what do they have on here? Yeah, location. Because if it's like public, that's the, is there a public view of all of this stuff somehow? Or is that like cordoned off somewhere? You know, I mean, if you're in a big group and you don't necessarily know everybody in the group, then like having some contextual information here, we're not going to run into this too much. So this is, yeah, the publishing system, like ultimately that I'd like to see is you could build these things from blocks and, you know, sort of group them up and stuff. So there would be within your author page, you would have things like, how would you do this? You'd be selecting multiple blocks and then adding them to like a collection, or you would add them to somehow you've got like a grouping of content. And then you can then probably in the same way that we're doing move this thing to post, you can move it to some abstraction, you know, so
yeah, I'm kind of imagining almost a, you know, in design books and like design thinking systems where they show different ways that you can sort of organize like a page by like rule of thirds and stuff like that. And then they'll have like blocks like he's doing. And there's like a few different patterns that sort of like make sense. And those could be like the off the shelf patterns for blocks where you can display other blocks of information. This is where blocks gets redundant, but you could pick different layouts potentially. And there's one to start where it's like just 3 sections, but then people can build other ones in different sort of like.
Yeah, so it's a bit Notion-y in that way, but it's not like Notion in the sense that you're really just arranging queries and not content. The content is filling in itself.
Yeah.
It's very dynamic, very lifeful.
yeah.
I just muted you. The easiest thing to do, like in the near term, it was right before we started talking, is just to be able to pin a block. And then you have like an opportunity to create like a profile, like whatever in the interim before we have a big group. Like if we, that would just be like the V1. I don't know, is my like cheat to get to this without having to actually design anything.
Makes sense. So this just has just everything is a box. It'll be purple though. And then pinned. It's a location pin, whatever. Get the idea. Yeah, I mean that gives us like a first order profile or custom owner of owner of feed can do things to feed.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Whoa.
Yeah, so it's another
defined from
permissions
within.
thing that ties back. Yeah. So I think that's what we're doing here is we're uncovering these patterns because the design is not good, but the design is fun. So, okay. You get the idea. Something like that.
Yeah, so it's almost as like because on Twitter you have the pinned tweet on somebody's profile, but this is closer to like letting the people who appear in search modify search at like the global level, and that's I mean that just sounds wild.
Yeah, so you're in a shared information environment, and some places, some queries are going to be nodes, and if a node develops, then you can add infrastructure to that node to make it more easily like navigable. So we're trying to
not just navigatable or whatever that word is, but in order to be able to add content to that as well and somehow make it clearer for future people that bump into it too. Like I think it's not just making it easier to read, but potentially to write to as well. But I guess however those pipelines end up looking, but it becomes two-way. Like the search results become also like a way of finding and adding to things.
Yeah, this is where you get the like sort of I mean, we're doing this like this one is weird because it's their author page. So like that doesn't make a lot of sense. This one is a very like it's a personal within the system thing, but like if we had some other query. So
like a keyword could be Discord or something.
Okay, and then so just text posts. A new one. So here we'd have something like this where it's pinned. This is what this query is about. Do this, do that. So rules, like all kinds of stuff in here. I mean, you can put whatever. I don't know. And it's pinned. Where's the other pin? To pin the right way. Okay. Then
imagine rotatable emojis. That's like a thing I never thought about.
They're all rotatable if you try hard enough. Yeah, so I mean, there's other things. So you can, yeah, I mean, this just gets. Oh God. This is where like restyling them into something, like having styles on the blocks, but like,
could attach a
nav
CSS
1,
block to a text block.
nav 2, nav 3. You can add navigation to these things. Like they're just links or subqueries or something, you know, that just go up here and to, I don't know, something like that. Or sifts or filters or whatever, you could, you know, do this kind of thing. It's a first order ridiculous idea. But yeah, anyway, so effectively, I mean, it's, I don't know if we're reinventing the wheel on this one too much. It's the kind of thing you can do. So,
yeah.
All right. Well,
I guess one other crazy thought that popped in was in this, I guess just if your search is two authors, then it's kind of like they both have this inherent space that they both can modify as well, and
do like that. Yeah.
Don't have to define a new structure. You just basically say, well, here's things that we've both defined and just pin it. Like, I feel like, with just a few small pieces here, you get a lot of these like weird secondary like display and organization things. And that's really cool. It's promising.
Yeah, I think what we're coming up with here is that like these queries, there's some power to them, and we just need to get them expressed. Yeah, all right. So we know that stuff will work. We're focusing on getting this in here, doing combinatorial queries and stuff. Like we can start figuring out like node tooling or something. Our first node tool is basically the pin. Yeah, then you get order, reorder, and all of those. Yeah, this thing's weird. Okay, what else? What am I missing here? History we still need to figure out. The composer, like we said, fine. Publish, we're going to hold off on. This stuff doesn't really matter that much. We'll sift it down and see. Link for the post page. How do we get it published? So that's the image upload component. I'm going to dummy in states for that in code, like just give an upload bar or something. I can lay that out. I don't think we need to do that together. Checkmark thingy we talked about. So
yeah, that could be a fun one.
Yeah.
Just a per block state of interaction with the chain.
Right now we got this. Steal my carrot. Okay, so we were gonna do, it's just available. was the concept? How, like, so where in the process, so after it goes into the feed or stream or whatever, then it can be in like a couple states, which is basically like people can see it or not, right? Is that where we landed on that, or am I missing something?
I want to say yes, but there was a state in between that where, well, it just depends on how long we wait for confirmations, where it's like, it's probably available to everybody else, but there's like a little ambiguity for some period of time. And that's measured down in seconds potentially. So unclear whether it really needs to be like a focus point.
Yeah. And so what else did we want to put in there, like that we want to express? Because we talked about,
there was the offline state potentially where it's not uploaded yet.
okay, so,
but I'm not sure if we're, at least in the short term, gonna have full like offline to online sync.
yeah,
Publishing
I think
that
we'll
can be tricky.
probably need to build that one after we have the like general idea of the thing working. And then there'll be like a clear path to offline it, and then we'll get one of these things, which is just like pending or something, or unuploaded or whatever. And then we'll know what, I mean, we'll be able to toss these things in quickly. And since we're the only ones using it, we'll know, even if we just have like a dot there, we'll know what that means. Yeah, I don't know that there's anything we need to express overtly unless there is a time delay on that thing, which, you know, let's spit that out in text, I guess, for now. You know, like I'll put something in the page, but like, because when we, Shahruz, are you doing anything for this? Like on internet camera?
I have an activity view that's like its own tab within the Cam app that is just like, here's, you know, your currently pending transactions, but also a full history of your personal transactions, which within an app context, there's some precedence for with that fourth tab in Instagram, you know, traditionally being the activity tab. So that's where I got that from. I don't know how well that translates here.
Yeah, so, because we have the history to capture all this stuff potentially on each block. Like, is that where we put this stuff maybe? Or do you want to see it from a global view? I mean, are you adding enough of these things to have that matter? Yeah, I'm not, I don't have an opinion on this one, I think.
I wonder, I mean, Uniswap does a thing where in the header up at the top right, it has like a pending and then a spinner. So no matter where you're at in the app, if you're clicking around, you can always like, you know, see how many transactions you've got pending. And then I think if you click on that, it pulls open like a little modal where you can see a slightly more expanded version of what those transactions are. So that's a web pattern for something like this.
Yeah, so that way you don't have to go searching
stuff
for
like
them.
that before.
Yeah, you're kind of just like checking the whole queue.
Yeah. Yeah, what's in these things? This is where I can just go build the structure for a pending thing, and then we can dummy in like specific data if we have a place to drop it. Okay, let's just do that then. Build this guy, because otherwise we'll sit here trying to dream up transactions. So this was just something. Yeah, I'll go take a look at Uniswap. Yeah, and we can figure out where that goes. So we have a sort of universal. Yeah.
And we'll have all the data that we know at the time of the post. So like, you know, any like first couple sentences or something, if you want to extract that. But then also the additional thing that we'll have at that point is a transaction hash, which you can link to like Etherscan. So that gives people like the ability to see like a more, you know, defined kind of status progress on that transaction than what you might be able to do natively here.
So I think that can go somewhere here on the actual, damn it, too. Okay. I wonder if Mirror is doing anything here with this. Need to join Mirror.
It's a whole popularity contest to get in.
I know. So we need to get popular. How are we going to do it? One stunt to get us in. All right. Okay, so this is good. I can play with this offline, and then submit that so that we can start spitting stuff out there. I think that's a decent place to toss some other things if they pop up too. It's like it's a surface. Then the TX hash there. What else? If anybody dropped into this thing, they'd have no idea what they're looking at. It's just a type of text, an author that's Kristen, who likes text, who doesn't read things and has keywords, quote unquote, and is very random. All right.
Just to make sure we're on the same page, for the keyword stuff, is that doing like a kind of full text search on the content? Or do we also need a keywords kind of field for our schema to define them manually?
I was definitely imagining full text in my mind.
Yeah.
Maybe some separation between searching context and searching body, because those will get very different down the line. But do you see any like potential gotchas there with using the graph for full text?
No, they do have support for it, which is nice. So we should be able to.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then so just adding something is basically like a tag setup or something. Is that what?
Well,
the
I just wanted to clarify which of those two. But yeah, I guess that's the alternate. Is like more of a SEO tag kind of keyword style.
Yeah. I think we may end up with like a functionality that like replicates something like that. It's like a special thing in the system or whatever for organizational purposes. So that'll probably show up at some point.
Cool.
I think for now, plain text or just text search works. Cool. I mean, do we want to work anything else out, or
just want to add one more potential query to the pile, which is current revision or is prime revision?
Yeah, that's right. Is prime. Yeah, we still need to figure out all this stuff. Get some of those histories in there. I keep pushing this stuff down the road because it's so much easier to lay out in the browser when we have real content. And we talked about doing that next anyway, so I think it'll go a lot quicker. And then I'll go, once we have that stuff in the page and we start glossing it up, then I'll come back to these comps and then clean them up and make them consistent. Or hire an intern to do it. Okay. Is there anything else tickling you guys that you want to explore? No is an okay answer.
Yeah, I mean, I just one more thing is I think we have this little in the history view of an expanded block. you have like a little paperclip, which I think is the copy link to. Should
Yeah.
something similar exist at the block level? Like if you want to send it through an external means.
I think we're looking at this, or so this goes to.
Those could be. I guess those are sort of similar things. So maybe they're even like grouped under the same somehow, because one is linking within the browser sort of, and the other one is like on the chain, and then maybe future ones down the road.
Yeah. So. Okay. Like, so we have the case where, like, yeah, when you click this, it's a hyperlink to this block. And that gives you, you can copy it or pop it open in a tab or whatever. And then I don't know if that has something to do with this up here, but potentially. This takes you to Etherscan to look at the on-chain history of whatever is happening, right? Is that?
Sounds right.
And then we have also that link. Okay. Gives us a cluster of stuff. What is this? This is just URL. Yeah, what is this thing? What is it?
I think permalink, because it's going back to the website, right?
Yeah. Okay.
They usually call them. I don't know if it's right.
That works for me. Okay. And was I missing one other?
Don't think so. The only thing I'm wondering about is when you do follow a permalink to a block, what is the query? Does it show a query? Or do we just have one more type that's like block : ID? That's the only one it shows, and that's that.
Yeah, I think the query is having the ability to do like a single entity by referencing like a block ID or, an ID of whatever type it is. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Then you could give these custom names at some point.
Yeah.
ENS them. Okay, yeah, I think that, I like that. I don't know why I like it, but I like it. Okay, yeah, I'll clean up these later. I don't really have a great idea for them right now. We're filling this thing up, so
yeah.
It'll like reshift into some other place. The prime thing, I guess we'll keep calling those prime. That doesn't need to come up here. This shows that. Okay, got all this stuff to work with. I think Mirror has patterns on all this, right?
At least some, yeah.
Probably.
Let's have a look. So they do that. This takes you to just their wallet. $104. Okay. They don't have a concept of going to profile or anything.
I think you're on the profile.
Yeah, got it. Well,
but that doesn't become clickable.
No. So they had a bunch of stuff at the bottom. Whatever that is. So there's the address. Content. What is this? Content digest.
I think so. Content digest would be the IPFS output. Arweave transaction. So Arweave is a service that does IPFS style uploads, but it's more permanent. It's on chain somehow. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how it works. But essentially they're using Arweave to satisfy the purpose of IPFS, but then they also have the IPFS hash because they think that Arweave uses IPFS underneath the hood. It's just guaranteeing storage somehow differently.
And then this is
his wallet.
Wait,
again.
His wallet. So
yeah, same as above.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just let our patterns emerge. So nothing.
And then actually the URL up there is interesting too. I wonder if that maps to one of the links that is at the bottom.
1E, I think so. It's this.
Got it.
So probably IPFS.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look like an IPFS, like it doesn't have that shape. So I wonder if the content digests are actually getting potentially somewhere else.
I mean, either way, I mean, it's a good pattern though. Like having that URL be related to something in here. I don't know what the IPFS, what are the IPFS one looks like?
Usually starts with a QM, and then I think there's like 34 or 36 characters after it. And no underscores, which was kind of the tell for,
Well, the blocks will be that for now. Who knows what that is? Let's find out. You're a ghost driving a meat-covered skeleton made from stardust riding a rock floating through space. Fear nothing. See? You gotta look at the addresses, because sometimes they're funny. Good job, IPFS.
That's great.
Nice.
I was completely expecting like a hello world string and like nothing, nothing fun.
What the hell is that in there? Oh, it just turned it into a link. Okay. Fool with that. Okay. Filling out the blocks a little more. That's what I got. I can't think of anything else. I got plenty of stuff to fiddle with here.
Yeah, this is great.
Cool. I mean, there's a lot of like using the blocks to make another thing and using the queries to make another thing. I like these patterns that are showing up. That's a good sign, I think, that we got a composable something or other. Cool.
Yeah. And these blocks feel like alive. I don't know. There's, they're just like, you could link to the current version of a block, but you're linking to something in its early history. And so there's like this kind of, I don't know, desire to mend, like maybe not collect, but like tend to them somehow. I don't know. There's like cool cyclical things that can happen there.
I would like to see those patterns, because like one of the things that I'm struggling with right now is like the feel of what this thing should be like, because like it's a little bit of everything right now. So like the feel will indicate like how to use it. So, but yeah, you seem to have a better sense than I do on that front. So we'll keep iterating.
Cool. Doodle some, send them your way too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool.
All right. Done. Put my face
Thank
back
you,
on.
Dave.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
It was, I think in the future we'll have a lot more focus, but this one it was fun. I mean, we got to,
definitely mapped a lot.
Yeah, I think that it's like, this is a good feel for like when we do design jams with other people potentially to like try to find patterns like this. And if we have like multiple people who can drive and like create little interface things quickly, it can be a way to move through this stuff pretty quick. So yeah, it's a different form than I was expecting, because I'm used to being like, all right, well, let's lay something out and it'll be pretty, and then we have to go put it on the internet. So this, we're doing a lot more like I don't know, design specking, sketching kind of stuff. So there may be a better mode of doing this on paper or like on iPad or something that lets everybody sort of draw little stuff. Yeah, that's my feedback. Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Where do we take this from here? Like, what are next steps?
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, do we still need to draft out I feel like at one point we talked about the graph schema, like, that would be the query schema, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something. Go ahead.
No, that was just sort of, because it feels good to leave with what we're doing next. That was like my sense, because I know it came up last time.
I think that's definitely a step, because that's what makes that query bar possible. And then I think there's a bunch of new UI stuff, including like session management. that needs to get figured out from a technical perspective.
Okay.
Pinning potentially as well, if we want to do that now, the pinning it to the top of your profile.
Yep.
Yeah, there's like a couple new functionality things that need to get figured out there.
Yep.
I think we hold off on pinning. It's not super important. The other two, yeah, we probably need another group session here to sort of take that stuff apart. In the meantime, I can go clean this stuff up, get it into a form that's like more legible potentially, maybe do a loom to like talk about what I did, and then or I can just build it, one or the other, or get the stuff dummied in. So I'll figure that out. Either way, I'm going to clean up these ideas that we have, get them down into yeah. I don't know the code side of stuff. That's up to you guys, I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely the things I have kind of queued up for some of the deployment pipeline stuff, and I think once I get that out of the way, I'm happy to like poke at a couple components and just either get the current thing even more fluid or start like moving towards these. But I think a next session where we do try and break out a little more of the next steps explicitly, and then probably go sync async sync again makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to chat with CJ too about because I think he's super interested in the graph stuff, so kind of want to get a sense there.
Okay, I'll just get comps cleaned up so we have something to use as a jumping off point, and if anything else comes up, we can figure it out from there. Cool.
Sweet.
When should we next meet? Next Monday, or what are we looking at?
So I'm going to be in San Diego on Thursday, hanging out with CJ for at least half the day.
Okay.
Could be fun to phone in from there and have this chat. On Friday, which should work fine as well for me. So I'll maybe coordinate with him and pop the latest into chat.
Okay. We got a sketch. Cool. All right. Good job, everybody. Thanks.
We did it.
We did it.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Till next